Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Jessa and today's video is a very exciting one, and it is my April TBR video. And if you're wondering why that's so exciting, it is because April is the month for Magical Readathon, which is hosted by G from BookRoast, and it is this really fun and amazing readathon where you create your character and you are attending this magical school called Orilium. Participated in this challenge before. I first started participating in it in 2023 and I was able to complete it both times. Do it as well in 2024. However, I was kind of going through a bit of a rough year, so I was not able to complete that year. So I'm excited to be back. My character is studying the Archmage path, so I actually have quite a few prompts to fulfill. There are 12 different prompts that each correspond to 12 different classes that you need to take in accordance to whatever path you have chosen. So I have 6 of them. I have decided for this video though to add the additional challenge of coming up with a book for each of the prompts, just in case if I wanted to maybe do 2 paths in the second semester of Orilium. So there is more than 6 books, and I also have some that I have multiple books that could count for that prompt. Basically, I have a couple different options. There is at least 12 books, and completing all 12 is a bit of a stretch goal, and it's one that I'm not 100% keen on whether or not I will actually be able to accomplish, because I'm kind of looking to take a bit of a step back from reading in April, just because I have already read I think 42 books so far this year, and we're just at the end of March, and I feel like that's too many, and I would like to sort of do some more hobbies. In particular, I like to focus more on doing some writing. Alright, so my first book and also my first class that I need to do is alchemy, and I actually have 2 different selections for this one. So the prompt for this one is volume magnification, which is to read something with an all caps title. And another reason why I have 2 books is because the 2 books that I have picked also fit for a different prompt, which is restoration, which is to read a book with a 4-star plus rating. So I actually found 2 options. So if I'm able to get to both of these, I will fulfill both of those prompts. Restoration is not one of the prompts for my path though, but those books are The Scarlet Veil and Crooked Kingdom. These are both continuations of series that I have already started. Crooked Kingdom is the second book in the Six of Crows duology, and The Scarlet Veil is the first book in a follow-up series to the Serpent and Dove series by Shelley Mahurin. Both of these are ones that I've been meaning to get to for a while, and both of them are actually on my 25 books in 2025 TBR, which hopefully that video goes up soon. But yeah, I'm excited to read both of these ones. I read Six of Crows back when it came out and never picked up the second one, and then The Scarlet Veil, I read the Serpent and Dove series when it first came out and never picked this one up. Both of these are actually special edition copies. On top of that, this is a Waterstones exclusive and this one UK exclusive edition. Anyways, I'm excited to get to both of these ones. They're quite popular, so I'm not going to explain too much about them. Plus, I already did talk about them in my 25 and 2025 TBR video, so if you have not watched that one, maybe check that one out, hear me talk more about those. So that fulfills the alchemy prompt. The next prompt that I had was Art of Illusion, and so this is another one where I have 2, and there is also another reason for that, because one of them actually fits another prompt, and those books are The Night is Defying and Enchantra, which is the sequel to Phantasma. So Enchantra is not out yet, so that's why I'm holding Phantasma. The Night is Defying is also a sequel. These are also both 2 books that I talked about in my 25 TBR video, so check out that video if you would like to hear more about these 2 books. So Enchantra was my original pick for this. However, the Animal Studies prompt is Steal from Another's TBR, and Enchantra is on the TBR for Covers with Cassidy and Mel from Melanor Reads, because this is their book club book. That counts for that prompt, so if I read both of these, I will achieve both of those prompts. And if I only end up getting to one of them, I'll count it obviously towards the prompt that I actually need. The next one was Conjuration, and so Conjuration is a bit of a difficult prompt. It's actually a random country generator, and I actually did this previously just to test out like how it would work, and I had a lot of trouble getting like a country that actually worked for the books that I own. I only speak English, and so I'm kind of beholden to just books that are either written in English or have been translated into English, and I primarily read fantasy books, and I tend to find that there's not a lot of, I find that a lot of the translated books tend to be more literary fiction, non-fiction type and I'm not opposed to those, but I just don't have a lot of them on my physical owned TBR. I have a random country generator on my phone, and I'm also hopefully screen recording this, so I'll do 5 of them. And if I don't get one that I like, I'll just use the one that I got from when I did this on my own, which was Palestine. Obviously, I think reading literature about Palestine is very important in this time. So I'm not opposed to doing that one, and I do have a book lined up for it. But I just want to try, give this as fair and honest a shot as I can. So my first country is Afghanistan. I cannot think of any books that are on my TBR that are from Afghanistan. Cameroon is my next one. Another one that I can't think of anything. South Sudan is my next one. Once again, I don't have anything. Albania is my next one. I can't think of anything either. And Vietnam. I might be able to find something for Vietnam actually, but so I will come back and see if I can find anything. Alright, so it does turn out that I actually do have a book. I don't know if the author is from Vietnam, but they are Vietnamese. The book is The Bronze Drum, and it is a historical fiction about these 2 sisters who are important figureheads staging this rebellion against the Han Chinese. So I think I have this one as a Kindle book. If I don't, I will check my library, but I do believe that I bought it. However, this one does not have very good reviews for it. I think it's saying on Goodreads, because I have it up on my phone, that's about a 3.36, which in my opinion is not the best. My pick for Palestine, though, just in case if I end up having to go to that one, if I'm unable to find the Bronze Drum or end up DNFing it, was They Called Me a Lioness, a Palestinian Girl's Fight for Freedom, which is by Ahed Tamimi, who is sort of young Palestinian activist who was jailed when she was a teenager for slapping an Israeli soldier. I remember hearing about this story when I was younger, and I am around the same age as her, and it was really impactful because this was one of the first times that I ever had heard in the news about the issues going on in Palestine and about, the struggles of young people living there. So I think in this time where we're sort of living in the situation where there is a lot of conflict going on in Palestine, that it's really important to be trying to learn about that environment, and I think that this would be a good source. So I might actually try reading both of those ones. My next prompt was word from the last book title that you've read. When G was talking about this prompt in her video, she mentioned that she sort of wanted it to be like the book that you were currently reading. So the book that I was currently reading at that point was Forged by Magic by Jenna Wolfhart. I have decided to take Magic and choose Eva Evergreen Semi-Magical Witch. So magical obviously has magic in it. This is a middle grade fantasy that is sort of pitched as being sort of similar to Studio Ghibli films, where we're following this young sort of protagonist who is a witch struggling with her magic. And so it seems really fun. It's like a middle grade book, and I think with some of these other ones that are a bit longer and denser and some of emotional and sort of heavy topics, that this will be a really fun and easy one to go to. The next one is Artificery, which is to read a book with a title either in words or in letters that matches the time that you were watching G's video. So I watched it around the time when it came out, which was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I had to either find one with 4 words or 4 letters. So I decided to go with 4 words, and I actually have 3 different options for this. One of them is yet another one that can fit for a different prompt. So I will mention that when I get to that prompt, because I already have 2 here. And these books are also ones that were on my 25 and 2025 TBR, so hopefully I'll have that video out so that you can watch that and hear about them. And that is Cruel is the Light and the Grace of Kings. So Cruel is the Light is by Sophie Clark, Grace of Kings is by Ken Liu. Both of these are pretty big. I also have special editions for both of them. This is the Fairy Loot that was in the Fairy Loot YA. This is the standard edition of the Grace of Kings, but I have the Broken Binding special edition of the entire series and would like to get to this one soon so I don't feel as bad about the amount of money that I spent on that series, but I'm excited for both of these ones. The next one is Inscription, and Inscription was the first sentence challenge, so I actually have another thing to film because I recently created this spinner wheel that has book series that I would like to get to, and most of these are ones that I own physically or have read from the library or so. So I'm going to spin this wheel, and those will end up up picking which books I have. Okay, spinning. Forestborn. Okay, so the next one. Draw Down the Moon. So they're both two YA ones. And then the third one. Tales of the Otary. So that is a historical fiction. Okay, so that is my 3 books. So I will go get them. Alright, so I have gotten my 3 books. I'm going to show them off first. So, Forestborn, Draw Down the Moon, and Across the Nightingale Floor, which is the first in the Tales of the Otary series. So these 2 are both YA fantasy, and then Tales of the Otary is a historical fiction set in Japan. So we're going to start with Forestborn, which is by Elaine Audrey Becker. The quote on the front says, "To be born of the forest is a gift and a curse." I'll also read this tagline in the internal one, which is, "Rora is a shifter, as magical as all those born in the wilderness and as feared." So the first line of this, "I find her deep in the old forest, face down in the dirt." Quite interesting. It's setting up a bit of a maybe murder mystery. Our second one is Draw Down the Moon by PC Cass and Kristen Cass. This says, "A mystical school, a mysterious death, a magical romance." And the first line of this is, "I'm pretty sure that at any moment, blue and red lights will flash and the local sheriff will tear down the street and stop me." Again, interesting, but I think I like the other one better just because it seems more fantastical. Then Across the Nightingale Floor, which is by Leanne Hearn. Doesn't seem like it has like a tagline like the other ones do. This is a bit of an older one. There's actually a poem here though that I'll read for you. "The deer that weds the autumn bush clover, they say sires a single fawn, and this fawn of mine, this lone boy, sets off on a journey, grass for his pillow." The first actual line though is, "My mother used to threaten to tear me into 8 pieces if I knocked over the water bucket, or pretended not to hear her calling me to come home as the dusk thickened and the cicada's shrilling increased." Oh, so interesting, but I think I'm actually leaning towards Forestborn. It's rather simple, but it kind of draws you in a little bit more with the sort of stark of, "I find her deep in the old forest, face down in the dirt." So I think I'm going to go with Forestborn for that one. So hopefully you guys agree with my reasoning on that one. I'd like to know which book you would have chosen out of those 3. That is it for the 6 prompts that I need to do. So the rest of these are just the for fun ones. The first one, which was Animal Studies, was the Steal the Book. So that was Enchantra, which I was stealing from Covers with Cassidy, and Mel from Eleanor Reads as well. The next one is Astronomy, which is actually a color wheel pick. I did do this one before just to see how it would work, and I had gotten pink. But I'll do it again, just and you can see, so it doesn't seem like I'm lying. Let's see what I get. Yellow. Okay, that actually kind of works because one of the books that I have here is yellow, so maybe it could. I actually have a lot of books here that are yellow because Across the Nightingale Floor is also red, so I could actually do this one. But I did have a book for another prompt, but I actually have 2 others here that are yellow. This Vicious Grace. This is the Fairy Loot edition. Obviously, it's very overwhelmingly yellow. And also, this one is a bit more gold, but Sister Song. These are ones for other prompts, but I could substitute in one of the other prompts and pick these for my yellow book if I wanted to do that prompt. But I could also use Across the Nightingale Floor because I honestly don't think I'll pick this one up if I don't do it now, and it's quite short, so I think I'll just add this one on. The next one was Demonology, and this one was like a missing persons one. And so my initial pick for this was actually the Fairy Loot April YA book. It's set to be sort of like a more murder mystery type book, but I don't know when the Fairy Loot is actually going to come because sometimes they come later. So instead I decided to go with The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. This is also a special edition. This is an Owl Crate one. It's quite nice. Has some pictures. I talked about this one in a book haul, so I showed it off a bit more there. I think there is a girl who goes missing, and Tao, who is our main character, who is the teller of small fortunes, has to try and find her. So this one could be interesting. The next one was Elemental Studies, which was fruit on the cover. So this is one that I showed before, and it's This Vicious Grace by Emily Thied. This one, not only does this one have lemons as its sprayed edge, maybe that's better, it also has these little lemon trees in the bottom. It has fruit on the cover. I think this one, we're following this main character who is in an arranged marriage, and she kills her husband because she has a cursed touch or whatnot, and then she has this romance going on with her bodyguard. So it seems fun. I got this as part of the Fairy Loot Trove sale, so this was one of my first ever Fairy Loot books, and I never actually got the second one, which I'm kind of a bit upset about. The next prompt is the lore prompt, which was a musical term in the title. So Sister Song was my pick for this one because it has song in the title. This is a retelling of an old English ballad, more informed by, I guess, modern sort of feminism and sort of research into gender studies and stuff like that. So I'm really interested in exploring this one. The author's other book is actually also a song one. It's called Song of the Huntress, so that could be a second pick if I wanted to use this as my yellow cover. I also had Song of Troy on, which is by Colleen McCulloch, which is a retelling of the Trojan War. But Sister Song is my initial pick because I am really intrigued by this one, and I also think the cover is really fun and sort of cozy almost vibe. I feel like mythology retellings are really cozy to me because I associate them with being a kid, because I was really a big mythology kid. My next one was, I think, Psionics and Divination, and that was to read a book with witches and occults. So Enchantra also works for this one, but there's also another series that I would like to get to soon, which is Returning to the Kingdom of the Wicked series. This is the second book, Kingdom of the Curse. I actually started this one. You can see that I have this bookmark, which is actually an American $1 bill, because that's what us Canadians do with American money, is just use them as bookmarks. Why? I don't know. Maybe that's just a me thing. This one is kind of fun. I didn't love the first one, but I was interested in certain elements about it. There's a new series that she is coming out with, which is the Princess of Sin series, and it's more adult, and I've seen a lot of people really enjoy that series, so I would like to maybe get to this one so that I could read that one as well. Not 100% certain if I'll get to it. Restoration was the 4-star rating one. If I read both Crooked Kingdom and Scarlet Veil, whichever one I'll count. And then my last one would also count for Artificery prompt, which was to read one with 4 words or 4 letters, and that is When the Moon Hatched. So the prompt for this one is the shape-shifting, which is to read something with a dragon in the cover or a dragon in the title, and there is a dragon. And there is also an additional prompt for the readathon where you can print license, and I think one of them is dragon writing license, and so When the Moon Hatched fits for that because it has dragons in it, so I can accomplish that as well. I might end up prioritizing this one over the other 2 books that I had, which were Cruel is the Light and The Grace of Kings, because this one could count for that one, and then if I read one of the other ones, I can count it. This was also another book in my 25 and 2025. All 3 of those books actually are, so irregardless of which one I choose, it still helped. That is my magical TBR, or Magical Readathon TBR. I guess we could just call it the Magical TBR. That's kind of a fun name. Yeah, there's a lot of books here. I have 13 here if I'm counting the duplicates for the prompts, which is a lot. Might not get to all of them, and some of them might end up getting subbed in for different ones. I am definitely going to try and prioritize these 6 prompts that I need to do. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video and maybe you got some recommendations out of this. Maybe there's some books that you are now interested in picking up. Also, if you have read any of these and you liked them, or even if you didn't like them, feel free to leave anything down below. If you want me to talk a bit more about some of the plot lines or synopsises about these books, feel free to also ask that. And also let me know if you are planning on competing in Magical Readathon as well, because I think it's really fun and I'd love to get to know some more of you guys who like Magical Readathon, and if you have any videos that you've done, I'd love to check them out as well, because it's very fun and I hope that you're able to enjoy it. So thank you so much for watching this and listening to me ramble about books, and goodbye.